This time around, we're looking at the issue of governance and governance deliverables. There has been concerns recently around, or rather debate around whether the Tinubu administration has performed or not, especially looking at its midterm scorecard. Quite a number of analysts have been looking at the resources that accrue to the government vis-a-vis what has what it has been used to impact on the lives of the ordinary Nigerians, especially in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. Now, joining us for the conversation is Barrister Daniel Bwala, Special Advisor to the President on Public Policy Communication. He joins us live from London. Thank you for joining the conversation tonight.
Thank you for having me. Good evening to your viewers.
Right, let's just go straight to it now. In the last 2 years, the Tinubu administration is said to have, borrowed over 57 trillion naira. This outweigh, if you like, what has been borrowed in the 8 years of the late President Buhari administration. And this is coming at the time the government is saying that it has also, after the subsidy removal, saved trillions also in taxpayers' money. Can you break it down specifically to tell Nigerians what this money has been used for, to better the lives of ordinary Nigerians?
What the money is being used for is in plain sight. If you look around the country today, let us even begin with the fundamental. When the president took the oath of office, it was reported at the time that about 27 states of Nigeria would not pay staff salaries. Some of the states, in fact, didn't pay salaries for like 11, 17 months because of lost revenue. States have had to borrow domestically and foreign borrowing as well. And the federal government stood for them in some ways. And so when the president came and took that bold decision that we talked about increased revenue to the point where the states of the federation have received increased allocation, which has so far been reported by different media houses as one that has taken care of all the salary problems. Some of the states have in fact paid their loans, and some have even embarked on major projects, which are being reported by news media every day. So this is one area. If you want to know how much that is, all you need to do is to factor what each state has had or is having as increased revenue and multiply it by the number of the 36 states. It gives you the picture of one area of the revenue. Then if you look at projects around the country, for example, if you look at the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, you know how much was devoted for that project. This is one of the areas in which the money also was disbursed. And you look at Sokoto to Badagry, then you look at all other projects in Nigeria, actually. Everywhere in Nigeria there is a project, even one that will touch on Maiduguri. Only a few days ago, I think 2 days ago, there is one bridge again in Niger. So if you're asking specifically where the money is going or has gone to, these are the areas. Don't forget that we have consistently been using intervention where the federal government has sent food items to the states of the federation, has given to the governors, has given to the lawmakers, and every now and then to take to their states and deliver. The federal government also has taken care of, we began this process because we are hoping to expand it, the NEL fund, which is funds available for indigent members of the society to fund their studies and then to have the cost of living. You can stretch it to the credit scheme, where we now have area by which credit is guaranteed for the workers so they don't have to steal. And many other areas that you look around, this is where the money has gone to or is going to.
Okay, yes, you talked about the infrastructural drive. You also talked about the payment of salaries by states, the support, to the states to pay salaries and so on. But some will say, even before the coming of this administration, states have been paying salaries. Some point the intervention of the central government, that is the federal government, has, at different levels, has supported the states to be able to address this shortfall, the salaries and of course pension liabilities. So some will find it difficult to understand why this, why it is so special for the Tinubu government to talk about that as an achievement. And then talking about infrastructural drive, you talked about
let me quickly respond to that. You did not, you probably didn't hear what I said in the monologue. I said, when Tinubu came to office, there were about 27 states who found it difficult to pay salaries. Some states did not pay for like 12 to 17 months. I remember Kogi, it was once reported that they have not paid for like 17 months. So 27 states could not pay. And after he has taken over, took over this, introduced this reform, I want to ask you, sir, and by extension, the Nigerian press, over the last 1 year or 2 years, can you tell me of one state that is not paying salary? Don't forget about the increase of the minimum wage. And then we can go on and on. But can you tell me of one state that is not paying? So this is the distinction between before he came and after he came. When you are saying what is so special, what is special is that now all the states are paying. They are no longer not paying.
Okay, but that should have been expected. Looking at the savings, the subsidy savings, essentially it was done to free resources for some of those developments. Even though payment of salary, some would say, might not be a physical kind of development that is expected in terms of addressing key gaps in the development context of this country. Take, for instance, part of the Renewed Hope agenda is to, provide education, is to provide health care. Nigerians would have loved to hear that so amount of money, these trillions you are talking about, have been injected into healthcare, delivery, or have been injected into education. But what Nigerians are seeing now, would say, to some extent, has not supported this argument. For instance, if you talk about education, parents
again you miss it.
Had to resort to
again you miss
loans,
it. If you permit me to quickly respond to that so that I don't jump, I don't forget about the specific areas or issue you are raising. Again, you are missing the point. The point you are missing is all the things are outlined to you are the spendings of the government. So as media or the Nigerian people, if you want to interrogate the government, you tell us that this particular thing we are doing is not necessary. But I just counted to you areas of investment, not just in the payment of salary, which came as a result of increased revenue, but in infrastructure, in health. You just mentioned healthcare. Probably you don't know that all over Nigeria now, cesarean section, people don't pay for it. Federal government has taken care of that. Probably you don't also know that since when the international donors were pulling out because of the US policy of not funding some of the non-governmental organizations, World Food Program complained that about 2 million people from the northern Nigeria are likely to perish if there is no intervention. You know how much the federal government has injected in that. Now, in terms of dealing with what we call malnutrition all over the country, there is a government program. When I talk about government program, I mean funding that have been injected. If you go around our country and you see the revolutionary effect of the health sector, it's being played as advertorial in TV houses, it's been announced. So I would expect that you interrogate and say, this spending is unnecessary. Not to say, where is the money? I just mentioned, and we keep mentioning where the monies are going into.
Well, you just talk about something that has, that has been bothering Nigerians, which is very, fundamental. You talked about how the government is intervening in addressing malnutrition, for instance. Hunger has been in the mix of the debate around the underperformance, in quote, of the government. But the statistics are not palatable. For instance, an estimated 2 million children in Nigeria suffer from severe acute malnutrition. The poverty line has also been, the gap is also increasing. Over 26 million Nigerians are said to be food insecure. Now, you are talking about intervention. Does this, looking at, the statistics, can you say that the government is making headways in addressing this problem?
Again, I want to say again, you are just rolling out an old statistics without bringing as a way of balance what the government has done since the last time this stats or data was released. I hope you are aware, and you can check that up with Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria, that this is the fourth month in which we have consecutive growth of the economy. We have consecutive drop down of inflation. We have consecutive drop down of food prices. I remember last year or so, I think I've had one interview with you about the prices of food items going up because of the programs we introduced. But you know that last year about this time, bag of rice and some of these things were way off above 100,000. A few days ago, I was in a sister program in television station, and I talked about somebody in my village who bought bags of rice, maize, and the rest. And at that time, they were selling for over 100,000. He thought that by farming and stocking them up, he was going to make profit. And now some of them are going for that 5, 40, and 45,000. Drop down in the food prices. It's growth. Whenever you talk about reform, do not ever expect that the reform is going to bring about 24 hours change. Anywhere you see reform is mentioned and the result become instant, then there is something wrong somewhere. If you're putting up system and structures, the growth is going to be gradual. Even recently, IMF lauded the federal government by beating the OPEC quota in oil production. Not long ago, World Bank also praised Nigeria for the growth in the economy. So as you bring out stats about people hungry and dying, we also bring out stats to tell you that since the introduction of the program, there have been improvement. No doubt because of the population of Nigeria and the situation that the president found when he came, that we have mass for people. There are other countries of the world, you would bring about this reform. Probably the result will be in 3, 4 years because the population is few. Nigeria is the largest black population in the world. You just mentioned about 200 million. This 200 million did not go into extreme malnutrition because President Tinubu came. It's a scenario that has commenced since the inception of insecurity that has pushed people to the IDP. So if you are giving a report, give all of the facts so that the viewers can have a proper perspective.
Right.
Times in media, when people confront the government, they tend to present it as if it was after President Tinubu came that problem just started.
No, but
And we have
we're
not
looking at the
shy away
figures
from the fact that
vis-a-vis.
reform can bring temporary hardship. But we are
Mr. Bwala.
constantly communicating to the Nigerians the effort that government is taking or making and the progress we have seen so far, and more of the progress that we're seeing in the days to come.
And that's exactly why you are here to tell Nigerians, perhaps, the side of the government, what the government is doing. If we're looking at the statistics and the current realities, it is also a responsibility to say, okay, let's take, for instance, we're talking about poverty, pulling people out of poverty. We're able to pull
Yeah.
2 million Nigerians out of poverty through this XYZ. I think that's what Nigerians would have loved to hear. You talked about infrastructural
No, you're
plans.
right, which
For
is what I've been
instance,
saying in the last probably 15 minutes.
yeah, for instance, you talked about the Lagos Calabar, coastal road. 15 trillion naira, said to be earmarked for that project. And there's this concern, in recent time about skewed, development or, exclusive development kind of arrangement. There was a conference. I mean, there was an engagement recently in Kaduna where some stakeholders raised concerns that you cannot find, for instance, a 500 billion naira project in the entire northern states, but you have 15 trillion naira project in just one state, for instance, even though it cut across some states. How would you justify some of these spendings?
There is a project from Sokoto to Badagry. Sokoto is in the northern Nigeria. There's a project in Kaduna, the improvement of the road from Abuja to Kaduna. Kaduna is in the northern Nigeria. There's a project that is going from Maiduguri, I think, to one other state again. Maiduguri is in the northeastern Nigeria. There is a project, there is a continuation of the project and funding of the Kano and Maradi. That is the northwestern Nigeria. If you go to the southeast, there's a project ongoing there. So the project of this administration is in every state of the federation. Those who railed out, albeit misinformation, that the president focused only in the southern Nigeria and not in the north, we have since debunked that by pointing to the project currently ongoing in the northern Nigeria. If you know Kaduna, the governor of Kaduna only recently secured the approval of the president of funding to take care of some of the projects that the Kaduna people are doing. So this is the administration's position. Maybe the reason why people are raising an eyebrow is because they are looking at Lagos and Cross River, this coastal highway, as a major project, and then people are raising eyebrow. But you know for sure, sir, that when Buhari, for example, was in power and he introduced Kanu to Maradi, it was also a major project. That some people were thinking at the time, why concentrating why concentrating on the project from Kanu to Maradi when you could have looked at other areas of Nigeria? And then he went ahead to explain the economic importance of Kanu to Maradi. The same thing applies to the coastal highway. It has created thousands of jobs because anytime you start a construction site, people go to site, they get job to work. Contractors are there, suppliers are there, engineers are there, and that's how you have the value chain. What about those suppliers of the products that people are being used? At the end of the day, the road that is constructed will now reduce insecurity, it will boost trade, and it will create opportunities for our people. So the ethnicization of project in Nigeria should be discouraged. And as a government, we are always happy to debunk any misinformation or disinformation that is peddled by anybody about government's intention in development and in progress making.
Right. You talked about quite a number of projects that you said that are ongoing in the northern part of the country, for instance, even though you didn't mention specifically what the contract, the nature of the contract, how much money has been, allocated to it and all of that. You're talking about, trying to justify the spending, the 15 trillion naira spending. But it is coming at the same time, people are also worried that there are quite a number of projects that have been abandoned that are also key to the development of this country. Take, for instance, just recently, people have been raising concerns around the abandonment of the Barrow port. People have been talking about, also the abandonment of the oil exploration in the Kolmani area. People are also talking about, even the Kaduna-Abuja highway that you're talking about seems to have been abandoned. So how would you respond to some of these concerns?
So I think that there's information. So not misinformation, but mixed information that is not clear. You see, and it is also intriguing that when it comes to the coastal highway, you seem to have the exact figure that was voted. But when it comes to other projects in the northern Nigeria, which you know as an anchor that it is ongoing, you seem to not to know the amount that was voted, and you wanted me to come bring in the amount to you. But I don't want to say there is a bias from your own end because you are doing your job as a journalist, bringing out the
Yes.
information that you say others are saying. Even though lately what we see in the media is that it is often easy say some are saying without quoting who are the some. Because in the interest of
But are you
transparency,
disputing
one
the
should be
fact
able
that
to
these
quote the
projects
source of the
exist?
person saying it rather than a conjecture. But I keep that on the side and respond directly to the project that you say are abandoned. Government has priorities, and of course, I know that the whole essence is a basic thing about economics. The whole essence is that the needs are insatiable and you have limited resources. So because of that, then you focus on those ones that are crucial. And if you see federal government abandon, I don't think there's any project in Nigeria that is abandoned at the moment. But if for any reason in any part of Nigeria at the moment is not as lively, I think it'd be nice to inquire to know whether the contractors on their own have not returned to site, whether the contract has just been awarded, they are yet to return to site, whether there is a dispute regarding that contract which is in court and parties have to wait until it is determined, whether the contractors are waiting funding before they continue. All of these are things that one can put into place. But I have known for a fact, and I have stated here in our conversation, projects that are being undertaken currently ongoing in northern Nigeria. Only a few days ago, there's this construction of a road modeled like the normal road you see in urban towns that is running from Kano to Maiduguri or so. So there are projects in the northern Nigeria. There are projects in the southeastern Nigeria. There are projects in the south Nigeria. There are projects in the southwestern Nigeria. There's project here in the north central. Look at the FCT, for example. You have seen the kind of revolution in terms of construction and infrastructure within the FCT. We have not even gone a step further to talk about the investment of the government in the area of security. Only yesterday you saw the brevity of the intelligence and security platforms of Nigeria where they were able to arrest two major leaders of terrorist organization in Nigeria. It is because of the investment. Look how much we have acquired in terms of the helicopter, in terms of the armory, our investment in equipment, gadget for intelligence, our investment in the area of cooperation among the security platform. It is also an investment, and money goes there. And this you run across all strata of government, where you see the government delivering on the promise to the people. That is an investment that the federal government is committed to.
Right, okay. I wish we could go on because you start talking about security, which is also very fundamental. You talk about the fiat that was achieved yesterday, but at the same time, it's coming at a time quite a number of people, the farming communities have also been displaced in Zamfara, in Sokoto, and quite a number of places. Some are being slaughtered, I mean, in their respective areas and so on. I don't know how much government feel about some of these killings.
If the
Sorry?
day and night. If the government is comfortable with the killings, we will not have put in the effort to arrest these individuals. That has not been accomplished, I think, for over 20 years in Nigeria. We are not talking about